Chapter 149 to 152. This, I see. After testing the blood sample, Seraph realized the blood didn't belong to Toki. In a dejected mood, she shifted her cameras back to Amon. So this is Lady Toki's daughter's blood. This is enough proof. But why did you bring her daughter's blood? Wouldn't it have been better to bring Lady Toki's blood, the real deal? She asked, fearing the worst. Amon nodded. It's simple. Toki is dead. Or so the people in Wano say. I can't bring the blood of a person whose body is nowhere to be found, now can I? I understand. Hearing her soft reply, Amon could feel the shaking emotions within her. She must be feeling shocked and sad hearing about the last Shandorian's death. But Amon had no reason to show sympathy for a robot and got to the point immediately. Anyways, does this mean I have access to everything now? Wait, let me ask you a question first. Have the borders of Wano been opened yet? No, Amon replied. Seraph deemed that he didn't have any reason to lie and beeped. Then, am I eligible to use everything you have on you now? He smiled as Reiki stared at him. You are eligible, Master. After a moment of Amon smiling, his face became expressionless. Okay, answer some questions first. Reiki noticed the change and grabbed the hilt of her sword. My first question is, why didn't you want to open up to me until now? He looked at her with cold eyes. You called me Master, yet you were more loyal to Joy Boy? Why is that? That, just a warning. I don't want to hear any excuses. Seraph suddenly got flashbacks of their fight from years ago, giving her a strange feeling. Nostalgia. Seraph considered whether or not she should tell him the true reason for her actions. No! He is my master now. Even if it's a trial, I need to give him the answer he wishes for. A trial. In truth, Seraph was testing Amon to see if he really had what it takes to replace the weight of Joy Boy's presence that her previous master left. Her previous master said, wait for Joy Boy and decide for yourself. Although not specific, Seraph knows when Joy Boy will come. From the prophecy, Joy Boy would come when Toki arrives in Wano, no matter how much time passes. So now that she has gotten solid proof of Toki's arrival, even her death, this means Joy Boy has also been born. Or maybe he is already an old man. Seraph made a decision. Master, I have decided for myself. I will give this child a chance. If he doesn't meet my expectations, I will choose Joy Boy next. I don't like him, but I am giving him the glory because I know he has what it takes. Also the fact that he has the blood of Shandorians flowing within him. After finally deciding, the A. I beeped. I was waiting for Joy Boy because my queen, my previous master, ordered me to. These are her words. Wait for Joy Boy and decide for yourself. I was confused about it. My response to her order was, why should I, throughout those 800 years? But I had a firm reason to do as she said. A firm reason, you say? Amon tilted his head while her mechanic voice chimed in his ears. Yes, a firm reason. It was because of the Fishman Princess 800 years ago. Other than being the Poseidon of that era, she also had the power to prophesize things. One day, before the war began, she prophesied that the gates of Wano would open 800 years later. She even specified the year, 28 years after Toki's marriage. Interesting. Amon was very curious. So the previous Fishman Princess had both Charlie's and Shirahoshi's power. Fascinating. People didn't believe her prophecies. Wano's borders weren't even closed to begin with. Why would they need to open? This was the reason. But as the war began and she started doing more prophecies, soon people realized the true weight of her words. What happened after that? Reiki asked this time. Both her and Amon were attentively listening to her. Centuries ago, when the Shandorans and Fishmen shared a very close relationship, Their princess came here and talked about the prophecy of Lady Toki's son. Lady Toki was supposed to give birth to a son who will change the world along with Joy Boy. However, by the time of the prophecy, Joy Boy was dead. So people were confused. However, as she went into more detail, everything made sense, so everyone did as she asked them to. They sent Lady Toki to the future. What did she say? Amon asked out of curiosity. The son she was talking about must be Momonosuke. Unfortunately, my memories were wiped. But I managed to recover some of them. Unfortunately, the rest of the data has been lost, Seraph said in a low voice. Amon nodded in her response. She expected an angry shout from Amon, but unexpectedly, nothing happened. Rather, a calm voice flowed within her ears. I figured as much. I would have done the same if I was in the shoes of those people 800 years ago. Though I do assume you have the important information, right? Sighing internally, Seraph beeped. Correct. Anyways, explain what happened next, Amon said in a calm manner. Truthfully, he was angry. So, all this time she fooled me? But he realized nothing good ever comes from crying over spilled milk. Later, she also talked with my queen before she told me that line. Although I don't know the reason behind her words, by calculating the contexts for 800 years, it seems there is a very strong being my queen wanted me to destroy, though I am not aware of the reasons. Since I am weak, I needed to team up with Joy Boy, the strongest being after that being. Who was that being? It was pretty obvious to Amon. It's Imu, isn't it? Who is Joy Boy then? She did say Joy Boy died, but this is a fantasy world. Considering that, who else can it be other than Monkey D. Luffy, the protagonist? It seems one day we might need to team up. I am not confident enough to beat Imu on my own yet. He lived for 800 years. He is surely a monster. It seemed like Amon needed to do some big manipulation starting from now on. The real game just begins. After that, that's enough. Amon stopped her from saying anything more, knowing that Rocky was beside him. We can discuss this later. I have another order for you. What is it? Hand it over. Amon stared at her soul intensely. The mythical Zoan, snake fruit. Model. As Amon talked about the mythical Zoan devil fruit, Seraph grew surprised. How did he know about it? From what she recalled, nobody from this era is supposed to know about this fruit. Perhaps Lady Toki left information on this matter. It seemed plausible but also unconvincing that Toki would betray Shandora like this. Sarah, don't lie to me. Amon got up from his seat and walked beside Rocky. I can see everything with I can see the fruit deep within your stash. Judging from your surprise, I can also assume that I'm right about the model of the fruit as well. After a short moment of silence, the mechanical voice sounded out. Since I do not see any reason to lie, then I will acknowledge your guess as correct. But I have two questions. How do you know about the fruit's exact model? And who do you plan on giving the fruit to? I know you already have a devil fruit. Amon stood at Rocky's left and pulled her closer by the side of her waist. Why can't you see this bad boy here? Did you think I would bring her down here without any reason? Reiki's face flustered as she felt her ear reddened up. She smiled nervously and decided to make use of this opportunity. Brother? What are you doing all of a sudden? Are you trying to molest me when there is no one around? Maybe, Amon answered with a chuckle. Is he the same person from 4 years ago? Sarah has never seen Amon flirt before, so this was surprising to her. No, I shouldn't get distracted by his behavior. Also, that girl, his sister. She is strong enough to take out 5 vice admirals by herself. But is that enough to make her worthy of the fruit? Does she deserve such power? Also, from my memory, she is as bad as the kid himself. I shouldn't underestimate her. There weren't many mythical Zoan in this world, but among the ones that existed, this was at the peak. Although this has many similarities with the azure dragon fruit, if compared overall, this one is a better zoan. If Amon asked the fruit for himself, then it would be another matter. But this was a hard choice to make. However, Amon made a grim face. Sarah, she is the strongest after me. She is also a Shandian. The best choice you have beside me. Or are you saying this fruit should go to Joy Boy too? No. Hearing Amon's mocking tone, the AI calmed down. Give me 5 minutes to make my decision. The computer screen blacked out for a second before millions of text started to appear on the screen. She was calculating the best possible outcome. Meanwhile, in Amazon, Lily, the old lady Gloriosa, was standing at the edge of the seashore while looking at the battle ahead. She lowered the binoculars from her eyes. Hancock was defeated so easily, she whispered with a grim look. I think the whole Amazon Lily should join the battle as well. She looked behind her. A large army of people was waiting there. Everybody, attack the Marines! Save the Snake Empress! Yes! Everyone screamed in unison and rushed towards the sea. They rowed on their small boats and ships. Some were shot by the Marine warships. But they didn't give up and charged forward. As their boats went far from the seashore, Gloriosa sighed, looking at the rising sun. From now on, all the Amazons will be considered criminals, huh? After a short moment of silence, she closed her eyes. Lord help us. Meanwhile, in Alabasta, the palace was in an uproar. Look at the bath. Maybe he is taking a shower there. Vivi shouted towards some guards. They nodded in response and did as they were told. She wiped her sweat with a shaky head in front of the door of a room. Where are you? Please be safe. This morning, Amon suddenly disappeared. She went into his room to check on him, but found nothing. Did I do something to make him mad, perhaps? Vivi was very confused and scared. She didn't know what else to do other than looking for him in the palace. She sighed and tried to lean on the door, but the door suddenly opened. Ah! She almost fell, but a pair of tanned hands stopped her. Are you okay? Miss Robin. Vivi stood straight up and looked at her savior, Robin. Thank you. I was too clumsy. Sorry, but I need to go. She tried to run off, but Robin stopped her. Wait! Vivi looked back. I need to look for... Wait, perhaps you know where he went. He? Hubby, I mean, Vivi replied to Robin's obvious question. He has vanished since this morning. Oh? Lucy is missing? Wait, where is Reiki? Robin asked with a frown. Reiki? Wait, I almost forgot, but she is missing too. Hearing her, Robin's frown disappeared as she sighed. Don't worry then, those two are together and fine now. She stretched her limbs and yawned. You should head back to your room and rest. Speaking of rest, I haven't slept for 3 days now. I also need some rest, 2 more hours of work, and I will sleep. Vivi, still worried, nodded. If you say so, but you should sleep too, miss. What are you working on so diligently anyway? Fufu, thanks for worrying. I am working on something special. A person named Golden Lion Shiki. I am searching for his whereabouts. Golden who now? Golden Lion Shiki, a predator from the previous era of pirates. Along with the era, he is dying as well. Vivi just looked around and said, Well, I don't know who he is, but good luck, I guess. Bye. Vivi ran off, still trying to look for Amon, leaving the yawning Robin behind. This is a hard job, even with the clue that Shiki is on a flying island. I heard he has the float fruit. I wonder who will get that fruit after his death, foo. Robin laughed and walked back to her room. Beep. As the supercomputer beeped, Amon let go of Rocky and went back to sit. Ahem, brother. Rocky tidied her jacket and called out, What is a quexoxa? Whatever you said. Why is it so hard to pronounce? Oh, you mean the devil fruit model. Yeah, that. I've never heard about such an animal before. Hearing Rocky's words, Amon shook his head slowly. An animal doesn't need to exist for there to be a fruit of it. That's the point of mythical zone, girl. Ah, yes, I see now, Amon tittered, hearing her exciting voice. Meanwhile, Rocky recalled how her brother said about giving her a fruit better than his, and he's doing it. Any mythical zoan was far better than any logia. The same goes for this fruit as well. Beep! I am done! Before they could converse any more, Seraph chirped. So, what conclusion did you reach? It's plausible. Not that you can eat the fruit anyway, so it's better to use it rather than putting it aside. Besides, Joy Boy most likely has a devil fruit as well, since he is supposed to be very powerful. Rubber isn't powerful? After a while, the AI said, I agree with you, Master. I also think she should eat the fruit. Seraph continued without knowing Amon's thoughts. Then, a silence fell upon the hall as a small portion of the floor separated and formed a hole. A golden box appeared out of the hole. Please take care of the fruit. It is precious to me. It is the fruit of my previous master, my queen. Precious to her? As I suspected, she has long stopped being a lifeless robot. Amon smiled softly and got up. I will be sure to use the power of this fruit to its fullest. Don't worry. He won't forget to misuse it to its fullest. Amon walked closer to the shining, floating golden box and touched it lightly. Zzz. He glanced at a camera and smiled. You will get your own devil fruit one day. Wait for it. Thanks, but you should be aware I can't eat a devil fruit. I do not possess a humanoid body like the automata. There are ways. Amon chuckled and walked towards the elevator. You will be strong one day. Just be a good girl and do as I say. Was Amon giving false hope or telling the truth? Only he knew. Ting! The elevator opened as Amon got in with Rocky. Amon took Rocky out of the hall. Her mythical Zoan form would be too big for the hall to bear. Now, on top of a cloud hundreds of kilometers away from Shandora, Amon stood with an excited Rocky who was fidgeting in front of him. They were on a cloud island with a piece of a ruined pyramid-like structure on it. It left behind by the Shandora that flew this far by the knock-up stream 400 years ago. Still, none of the two cared. Hey, give the box to me quickly. She begged for Amon to hand over the box as Amon shook his head slowly. Be patient. I need to warn you. You might not be able to control the beast in the fruit. The carnivorous Zoan fruits are the hardest Zoan types to control, and this is a mythical carnivorous Zoan, so it'll surely be harder. Although you won't lose your mind and go berserk, you might start shooting heat breath while talking or create a wind tornado while breathing. But just remember, Amon placed his hand on her shoulder and smiled. Brother is with you. Reiki's face dazed as she nodded slowly. I love you too. I don't, though. Anyways, wait a sec. Amon pressed some buttons and messed with the box for a while as the lid opened on its own. Obviously, he didn't know how to open the box from before, but using future sight, he could predict the best way to open the box. From within, he took out a glowing devil fruit and stared at it with shining eyes. It's glowing. Is this proof of it being a mythical Zoan? Come on, give it to me. Rocky tried to snatch the fruit. Amon didn't stop her and let her take the fruit. Wow, it's glowing. Looking at the green guava fruit with glowing golden inscriptions on it, Rocky's eyes shone. I already love this, haha. Her smile only widened as she brought the fruit close to her mouth and took a bite. Crunch. Hey, take it slow! Amon was too late as Reiki gulped the fruit slowly, and soon all of it was in her belly. Ha! Suddenly Reiki's eyebrows twitched. Her midnight blue eyes changed. Her pupils became golden while another pair of wings also popped out of her back. Kriya! Reiki screamed as she fell on her knees. Pain! Brother, it hurts so much! Instantly, Amon teleported kilometers away and stared at her as she struggled like a fish out of water. She is gonna be fine, I think. He lied when he said he would help her control her powers. She needs to learn how to overcome things by herself. I won't always be there for her. As the wind started to blow fast, Amon stared at the transforming Rocky silently. I think I know how my brother thought of me in my last life. Roar! With a deep voice, Rocky screamed as both pairs of her wings flapped and brought her up in the sky. While she twisted her body mid-air, it started to change as snake-like scales appeared in her body. Her whole body's structure started to change as it became serpentine. Her snake body started to grow feathers. It also grew in size as it became kilometer-long, as big, if not bigger than Kaido's dragon form. Even in her snake form with shining green scales that were hidden by her feathers, her wings were still present. She flapped all 8 of her wings and roared towards the pyramid-like structure. Roar! As seconds passed, Amon stared at the scene with the eyes of a winner. Kaido, I have the perfect counter for you. Nobody can stop me now. It is indeed that fruit, the god of Aztec mythology, mythical Zoan, snake fruit, model Quetzalcoatl. It's been 5 minutes since Rocky transformed into Quetzalcoatl. Looks like my theory was correct, Amon said with a smile as he looked at Rocky destroying the ruin made of gold in that small island. When Amon confirmed the existence of a mythical Zoan on Seraph, he theorized the most possible outcomes. The outcome was not an angel mythical Zoan, which would make sense with their wings, but rather a snake fruit. Yes, to Amon. The Shandians having this specific fruit made more sense than the existence of an angel fruit. Why? Aztec mythology, the mythology of the Mesoamericans. Like any other myths, this has its respectable gods and devils. One of the gods is Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent. This all connects to Shandorians. The ones in this world are based on Mesoamericans, as even their golden city is based off Mayan architectures. This is where their snake-worshipping history originates from as well. It is not a mystery why such a fruit exists in Shandora, especially because even Oda, the creator of Shandora, fashioned it from the scratches of Mesoamericans. Though it's a mystery whether this fruit was made here or brought here by a third party. Nonetheless, I can see this happening in one piece with all the connections here and there. Amon thought as he looked at Rocky halting her actions after crumbling the whole piece of land with just her physical strength. She finally calmed down, huh, my little Kaido? Little Kaido. The Quetzalcoatl is the Aztec version of the Azure Dragon. This is the reason why they share many similarities between themselves. Saying this, Amon slowly started to fly towards Rocky. Rocky's body started to become smaller as Amon got closer. Finally, returning to her human form, her body fell from the sky towards the broken small island. Zzz. Before she could have fallen on her head, Amon caught her midair and dropped to the ground. He jumped down and placed Rocky on the ground, staring at her with a smile. Good girl, you regained control under 10 minutes, Amon said as he giggled and stroked her hair. You didn't disappoint me. Reiki kept laying down with a pained face. Brother, I feel sick. It's worse than when I'm on my period, fuck. Ha ha, sucks to be you, huh? Amon laughed and hit her forehead. Reiki tried to raise her hand and punch him, but her hand fell back down. Fuck this shit, why can't I move now? Amon nodded and explained. Probably a special case for mythical Zoan fruits. Maybe it merges your body with the snake? He touched her wrist to feel her pulse. Anyway, you will be fine as time passes. Oh, by the way, your eyes changed. They are golden now, better than before, I guess. Reiki's eyes shined as she formed a weak smile. Really? She stared at Amon's clear, reflecting eyes and noticed her changed pupils as a wider smile bloomed on her face. Good. Now I have special eye color like you do, though I would have liked blood red like yours. But this is fine too, I guess. Amon sighed. Anyway, keep lying here until you get better. I think it won't take much time to recover. An hour, maybe? Raki showed a cheeky smile. Heh. Yes. I will be fine soon. Then I will be stronger than you. Be careful. I might steal your girl, ouch. Before Raki could finish her line, Amon knocked her forehead with his conqueror's hockey-coated finger lightly. Shh, you're still too weak for that. A trail of blood slowly started to drip down Raki's forehead as she freaked out. Ah! You actually hurt me like this! What kind of brother hurts his sis? However, the next second, the blood started to dry up as the wound vanished. Eh? As I thought, it comes with a healing factor. Lucky girl. Bam! Amon said, and knocked on her forehead again with Conqueror's hockey-coated finger while laughing. He can't yet coat a large area, but a finger is plenty. Fuck! I am bleeding! Stop it, bastard! It hurts! Knock, knock, knock. A few minutes later, Raki sat up and glared at Amon while covering her forehead. I will get back for this, you sadistic bastard. Sure. It's not like it left a scar, besides you enjoy pain anyway. I enjoy pain? What are you saying? Raki's face flustered as she punched him in the chest, only to feel slight pain in her knuckles. Ouch, ahem. Raki tried her best to hide her pain and looked away. Anyway, let's get going. Okay, where do you want to go? Amon said while he patted his chest. Of course I need to show off my power to everyone. Power! Raki punched the air constantly with shining golden eyes. It was clear how excited she was. Amon nodded with an exhausted sigh as Raki smiled. Looking at Raki's face with an indifferent look in his eyes, Amon started to calculate things. Regenerative powers. That level of tiredness vanished in less than 15 minutes. And it will only increase by the time she gets familiar with her powers. Like I thought, she is indeed the perfect counter for Kaido. Unfortunately, she doesn't have Conqueror's haki. A shame, really. Amon walked closer and patted Raki's back. Try to use your wings. What? You want my wings to bleed? Raki looked at him with a glare, but did as she was told. It didn't matter. As long as he would command her, she would do it even if it hurts her. Clenching her jaws, Raki flapped her wings once as she stopped. Her eyes grew as she stared at Amon's face. What's this? It seems your new healing factor fixed your wings, lucky girl, Amon said and walked away as Raki curled her lips upwards and nodded. The Japanese word Raki means luck, and this particular Raki was lucky to have Amon look after her. However, she knew about that fact, the fact how lucky she was to have him. That's why it didn't matter how strong she gets. It doesn't matter if I one day surpass you, brother. It would only give me the opportunity to achieve my dream. To be your shield. I was, I am, I will be, all yours. The wind fluttered Raki's hair as she grinned brightly. Still, I am the strongest. Raki clenched her fist as she called Amon, causing him to turn around. Brother? Amon looked back at her with curiosity present in his eyes. I will always be there for you, just like how you have been there for me. If you one day feel no one is beside you, call my name Raki, and you will find me beside you, Raki announced with a serious face. Amon only laughed hearing her and knocked her forehead. Stop throwing flags around. Flags? Without saying any more words, Amon turned around and walked away. Hey, wait! Raki ran behind him while wind fluttered both their hair. They looked like siblings even if they weren't related by blood. Raki knows that, that's why she loves him more.